G'day YouTube, this is the Maddest Man here. I got my Nissan Patrol back in the shed, doing a couple of things, I bought a couple of new door bracket or door hinges for the rear right barn door, and also I thought about this system. Let's go and have a look at a headlight loom in this car. For those of you who own Patrols, you might be wanting to upgrade your headlight loom. Now, the bits or headlight loom kits can be bought from eBay or from ARB or from other reputable sellers, and will cost you an arm and a leg, anywhere start from $130 to 220 bucks, depending on where you go. But there's actually a simple way to upgrade them. Anyway, before we start talking about upgrading your loom, we should talk about why you'd want to upgrade your loom. Now, most of these cars come out with either a 60-55 watt or a 70-75 watt globe. Now, there's one bad thing about it. Now, the worst thing about it is the way that they ran the cabling into these lights. Now, let's go and have a look in here and see if we can see. There's a loom there. Have a look at these cables. That's the plug for the headlights, so that comes off the headlight, which is over there. These are not sealed beams. So that's your wiring to your headlights. Pretty thin, pretty disgusting. We'll go and have a look at the other one, which is down this end somewhere, and probably I'll have to take out the headlight for this. But there it is sitting there, and I've unplugged them, sitting ready to go. Now, that cable looks like either 0.75mm or 1mm cable, and the way they run it is from here, from the two headlights, direct back into your stalk, which this one's got a headlight warning, direct in your stalk, back to the fuses and into the battery. Now, the worst thing about that is that this stalk is doing all the hard work of switching over anywhere from 6 amps and above. These stalks get dusty, they get dirty inside after time. You drive through dusty areas, the more dust gets inside here and just eats it away. This is a brand new stalk because my last one failed, and when these fail, you go to switch on your headlights, it works, you flip it to high beam just like that, and all of a sudden one of your high beams doesn't work, or complete failure of your lights, which I had at one stage when I flipped it back to low beam, and I had absolutely no lights in the Mount Dandenong region of Victoria. Now, that is scary. I can tell you that now. It is absolutely scary. So, what do you do about it? Well, you've got a perfect control circuit coming out to the front of the car. So, the first thing to check, if you're going to do this on any other type of vehicle, is one, does the headlight warning, or should I say the high beam warning light, come on when you disconnect your headlight bulbs? If it doesn't, that means you're going to need some extra wiring into your car to make that little light come on your dash. If it does, like a Nissan Patrol, you don't need to worry. So, what is the best way to run this? Now, I think the easiest way, two separate circuits, one for each light, 6mm cable, at least a minimum of 4mm, but I'm running 6mm, and I'm going to show you exactly what I've got. This is exactly what I've built. I've actually put it on my little test bench here, or not a test bench, workbench if you want to call it, with a big 12-volt battery when I did the testing. Anyway, so I went out and bought some of these. Now, these are ceramic plugs for the H4s. You can find them in Autobarn. I've run a 2.5mm cable to each one of the lights, and also to the other light system, which is over here. Okay, this other cable is your trigger wire. So basically I've used an earth wire for negative, a brown wire for low beam, and a blue wire for high beam, and you just wire that into the existing plug circuit that's already in the car, and it will turn on these relays which have resistors in them. Now, see there, you got the long loom between the two relay sets, so one set of relays on the left, the other set of relays on the right. Keep it all nice and close together. And of course, power, negative directly to the battery, none of this earthing on the body because that's not reliable. And your two fuses. The reason for two fuses is that you can never get, or very, very hard to get, two lights blown at the same time, or two lights not working at the same time, low or high beam. So the way I've wired this is basically one fuse to the left and one fuse to the right. And I'm going to pop this in. Alright, the next stage here is to mount in all your relays. I've mounted that one off a plate because it was just way too hard. Have your cables hanging out. And my advice to you is to wire it up into your battery now and get a spare globe and test that your lows and highs are switching over as they should. And we'll pop in the headlights and see what it's like. Alright, so here you go. Two headlights all working. I'll let this camera readjust. It has been in the brightness. So I've hooked it up. Put two 20 amp fuses in there, so you can have a grand total of around 240 watts of lighting per side. So if you want to go out and put 100 190s in there, not that it's legal, I wouldn't recommend it, go right ahead. I actually found out that these globes are 155, so standard 55 watt low beams and 100 watt high beams, which is, well, you look, there's only one headlight per side of this car, not two like most modern cars, and most modern cars run 255 watts, so they're getting 110 watts of light on each side of the car. Now of course when you turn on these big babies you're going to get a lot of more distance, but remember that these spotties are a lot more intense and generally blind people, so take care when you do use them, and really you don't need them with good headlights. Anyway, we've got a good old lux meter here. Now, it's a bit hard to see exactly what they are without going in front of it like that. But we've got about 700 lux here. Now if I go and move that upwards into the light, we're getting about 20 lux or 18 lux. Now before, when I had it sitting down here, it was sitting there. Had all the lights turned off. It was daytime when I started this job, and I measured those headlights just like that, and we were only just getting over 500 lux. Just over. It was a smidge over. So that improvement there, it was sitting like that, that improvement there on low beam is quite a lot. So that's 20 in the highest light range. We're getting 28 lux. Now let's go and turn the highs on. So as you can see, the highs have come on. Now of course the highs lift that light up a bit higher. It should be reading about the same down the bottom. It's actually gone up a little bit with the highs. Oh no, it's about the same, sorry. So we're going to lift the highs, which should bring us off the chart, seeming that it's 100 watts. The last time I did this, the light only increased by a little bit to about 10 or 1,000 lux. So we're going to move that up. There we go. Off to the end, over 30 lux. That's pretty much the end of the, I think that's the end of the chart there. You can't go any higher. So that just shows you how much different a good wiring kit can make. It can add or double your light output. High beams are nice and bright. Anyway, I'm going to take this down the road and see what it's like. Okay guys, well I just took it for a drive around the street, and what I'm noticing is a very pure white light, and I don't know if you can see that here on the video how white the light is. That is low beam at the moment, but I'm going to put it on high beam, and you get a startling white bright light that shines straight forward, more than lighting the floor, or the ground should I say. Now this is the beauty of having an upgraded kit. If we hold the high beam on, you can notice that not at all does it dim. Well, in my eyes it does not dim. It might look dim, but it doesn't dim the actual light on the ground. Now that's the low beam that's facing down. See, if you go full, it turns off, compared to having it low beam and high beam on at the same time. Now, before the old wiring loom, it used to dull the lower end on the ground to the point where you couldn't even see what was in front of you, and it was a very annoying fact. So anyway, if you were to buy all these bets brand new, you'd be looking at about $70, maybe $80. If you go to the wreckers and get yourself some good quality relays out of some Fords and Holdens, I believe the Ford relays have a stackable block. I'm not sure about that, correct me if I'm wrong. You can buy relays and blocks for maybe $5 a set, and get some good heavy cabling out of some old car somewhere. You might do the whole job for around $25. So it's definitely well worth the expenditure to upgrade your wiring loom to your headlights if you've got a existing headlight system that does not use relays. Go right for it. Anyway, that's the Maddest Man, over and out.